what you need, yeah. Man, I got it, wow.
Let's try this again. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Box Seats. I'm your host for this evening, White Chocolate, filling in for Frank Holder. Hopefully, he'll be joining us momentarily. This is the show where we talk sports with comedians. Without further ado, let's start bringing the fellas in. D. Jones, welcome aboard. How you doing?
There ain't nothing funny about today. Ain't nothing funny about today, White. Nothing funny. Humorous. It's a serious day today.
Filmmaker Jason Hayes is in the building. Let's bring him in. Jason, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm wondering why D. Jones chose Patriots gear instead of the usual.
I'm on the football.
It's football season already.
Did the draft just happen?
Yeah.
Did we talk about the draft? We didn't talk about the draft all day.
We ain't even had rookie minicamp yet.
I'm on the football.
Listen, the Pistons lost, and he wants to talk about Mike Vrabel. There's more information coming out.
And how he didn't even show up.
He has serious stuff to take care of. He left it to me.
It's a sad day in the 313, dog. Damn.
All right. Let's get to the breaking stories today. Let's do this. D. Jones will get your take here. Ex-NBA player Damon Jones first to plead guilty in gambling case. He was in court and pled guilty to two charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and involving sports betting and big poker games. So what do you think about him going to court and pleading guilty now here with these two charges he's faced with?
I would like to say that that was Damon Jones and not Damian Jones. Let's get that out the way. Not all Joneses gamble.
Just you two.
I did hit last night, but is he dealing with the mob? He got to say, hey, I did it. I was the head of the organization. He got to be Nino Brown and just take the stand, but don't do what Nino did and say somebody else did it, man. Hey, listen, me, Chauncey, we put it together. It was my house. It was my game, my chips, and just take what you got to take, man. Take them couple years.
Jason, is this a formality, or how much jail time is he looking at if he pleads guilty to these charges? Is it a kind of like a plea deal? Like if he pleads guilty, he'll get less time?
I mean, by pleading, and saving the court, the time or whatever, they normally give you a lighter sentence. But I don't know how he's gonna avoid jail altogether. But normally, if you plead, they're accepting the plea. And because you're saving them time and money, they'll give you a better deal than you would have gotten if you went to trial, lost, and got the book thrown at you. That's generally how it works. But to piggyback, D. Jones, Mike Sean said yesterday, for those of you who weren't watching, he was talking about some Philly mob boss, and he quoted him yesterday, and it made me think about one of my first jobs when I moved to Philadelphia, years ago before moving to New York. I was valet parking for the mob, and I will not say the mob boss's name because this may show up sometime. But let me just say, I parked a lot of Mercedes and Rolls Royces for dudes with dead eyes. Like they had no soul, bro. So I understand this plea if he's involved with them.
Makes sense. So what's the? I'm not sure what the charge is for. I'm not sure what the charge is. Is he looking at 20 years and then they give him 10 instead? Something like that.
Woo. It depends, man. It depends on how much flexibility the judge has. In the sentencing.
And did he tell on somebody?
Well, we know who he didn't tell on. Yeah, I looked at it, man. You know,
If he do
it's not
too
saying
much, he
anything.
told on everybody.
Yeah. Like, hey, like I told you, man, like Earthquake said, if they catch me, they caught us.
Move on to the next story. D. Jones will bring you back in. Here's another gambling deal here. NCAA bans 2 former Fordham players for gambling. The NCAA investigated 2 guys, and they permanently made them ineligible for potential game manipulation for sports betting reasons. While gathering evidence, the NCAA found a $10,000 bet from a bettor on a 2024 game involving Fordham. They then looked into the possible connections between that bettor and the players. And these 2 guys, their names are Elijah Gray and Will Richardson. They're no longer with Fordham, but they are now part of another gambling sting operation, so to speak, as I'll call it. So what's your take on these new guys getting caught?
What sport did they play?
Basketball.
Basketball.
Basketball, yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's gonna mess up your pro career. They probably didn't have a chance to make it to the pros, but I can see this happening with guys that's like gonna be lottery picks and they start gambling, and it's gonna mess up your pro career, and it's gonna go deep, man. The gambling, especially when you're young and you're trying to make more money and more money. I heard gambling is addictive. I heard it can ruin your family, ruin your relationships. I heard you can lose a lot of money by gambling, and it's just what I've heard and seen from far away. And I don't suggest gambling for anybody, especially college kids and the pros. We've seen them get in trouble all the time. So if you get in trouble in your 20s, 19, 20 years old, you get in trouble with gambling, man. It's very hard to bite that gambling bug. And as a former gambler, I can speak on that.
Jay, what's your take on these guys getting caught, and how bad can it get going forward?
So Elijah and the other dude, they weren't offered rehab like Brendan Sorsby?
Of course not.
Looks like not. Yeah.
Hey, Chocolate, listen, man. It's my job to point these things out, man, because I just see it.
I can't argue with you. Believe me, I get it. I see what you're saying.
I just see it when it happened. I mean, because I was flabbergasted when I saw he's going to rehab. He's not disqualified from playing next season. So clearly, they're gonna say, well, he went to rehab. He fixed himself, and we think that he should be allowed to play. Like, clearly that's the groundwork, for moving forward. Whereas anybody else is immediately indicted, or at least run out of whatever it is, whatever sport that they're participating in, and they're banned for life. Now, I don't understand this. So I'm just confused. I mean, I'm not shocked by the gambling. I'm just shocked that they were not given the option of going to rehab like Brendan.
Well, let me ask you this: since they do a case by case, and your argument is absolutely legitimate, shouldn't they have maybe something where they have steps, and rehab is the first step, and then, if it's for a first offense, let's say, and then for a second offense, then you're gone. Like, should they revisit that policy and make that standard for the guys, or would that be a deterrent to them and be like, all right, we have one chance, and you can get caught, and then we can keep gambling, and then we'll take a risk?
For me, this is the first time I heard about somebody going to rehab for gambling. Every other person got ran up out of there. So this is a dude who was like, one of the biggest transfer quarterbacks in the portal. And Texas Tech is one of the biggest spenders in all of college football because of the oil money that they have. They're literally paying kids $4 or $5 million to come and play for that program. So if this kid is still at Cincinnati where he started out, I don't know if he gets rehab. But he gambled at Cincinnati. So clearly the people in Texas have enough sway to that they can lure, like be audacious enough to sell this rehab story as if going to gambling addiction programs wipes out the gambling that he did before that. I don't know how they're going to play this moving forward.
It's wild because the quarterback can tell their friends, hey, bet that I throw an interception in the second quarter.
That's the person who has the most control over how over how football can play. Nobody touches the ball every time but the quarterback.
Yeah.
Every play. Which is why, in basketball, it's usually the point guards who get caught up in the scandal because they control everything in the game too.
So you know what?
Rozier?
The way you explain it, it's more of a case of the haves and the have-nots, right? The big schools can spend money and they can get people out of trouble, and the lesser schools really can't. So it's never going to go away. It looks like these guys are going to be in hot water no matter what they do. Let's move on to the next.
It's going to be a tough sale, though, Chocolate.
Again, I can't
it's
argue with it at all.
If Damon Jones goes to prison, Chauncey goes to prison. They re-indicting Rozier. I read about that. They're bringing new charges against him. So if this is the only person who does not have to go to jail or have to get adjudicated, this is going to be very interesting in the aftermath.
Did they say anything about Malik Beasley? Because I know a team that could use Malik Beasley.
He's been out of listen, man. I think that if they've already blackballed Malik, bro, I don't think you ever see him back in the NBA, no matter what happens.
Okay, so I guess since Steve's not talking, since he sees me, okay.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, Frank, welcome in. Do your thing. You're well set.
Okay, I'm not sure where you left off at. I'm waiting for you to say where you left off.
We left off with the NCAA banning the 2 former Fordham players for gambling.
Okay.
So,
all right. So,
take it away.
It's. Did you guys talk about the tanking?
No.
Well, all right. I'll start there. I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to see what's going on. I'm gonna start with you, D. Jones. How he didn't make it today, huh? How he make it today?
No, he didn't
I read the article on that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about this because while the NBA has presented a few proposals aimed at changing the lottery, it looks like there is a heavy front runner reportedly involves a draft lottery that would feature 18 teams and altered odds according to the Athletic, in that an option 18 teams would be included in the lottery portion of the draft. That would differ from the current format, D. Jones, which features 14 teams. You add an additional 4 teams, it makes things a little bit different. Additionally, the odds for the top pick would be altered. In the 18-team proposal, the bottom 10 teams would have an all 8% chance of landing the number 1 overall, pick. The remaining 20% would be divided among the remaining 8 teams. This is what's being proposed right now. D. Jones. It's very interesting because I think this is I don't want to say great, but I think it's a way that you can change the, obviously tanking. You know what I mean? Tanking. What's your take, D. Jones? What you think?
But very quickly, Frank, what I read, they said 16. They're going from 14 to 16.
Yeah, the Athletic just said 18. So I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, D. Jones.
It sounds like a great idea. If it help people, but I don't know if it's gonna help people from tanking. They want to tank. Right. And the NBA gonna put who they want where they want to put them. Again, Victor Wembanyama should have been a Piston. We had like 300 losses this season, and he didn't get the top 3 pick. So they know what they doing. They gonna place who they want to place, where they want to place it. Yep. They've been cheating on this. Been Detroit versus everybody since I've been born. Okay, they cheating on us now. They gonna cheat on us later in the future. And I had enough of it. Tanking sucks. Stop all the tanking. Okay, because we wasn't even trying to tank and we suck. That's the crazy part.
You was legitimately bad.
Yeah, we were just bad.
Right. Yeah. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because Jay, last year, Cooper Flag lands on the Dallas Mavericks. Correct. And I was like, how in the hell does Cooper Flag land on the Dallas Mavericks? I lost my mind. But Jay, before I even jump into that part, tell me what your thoughts are about the NBA going from 14 to 18.
Well, mathematically speaking, it definitely decreases the likelihood of the losing team having almost a guaranteed shot at that pick.
Right.
Because now, like once you expand the field and you're going from 14 to 16 or 18, because ESPN has 16. So let's say it's anywhere from adding 2 to 4 teams. Anytime you add that, everybody has to get a certain amount of lottery balls. They're not going to increase the lottery balls. And so then it goes like in descending order. So let's say number 1 overall pick, let's say, they would have had 10 balls in the past. Pause. They now are going to have 7 or 6. So it's decreased the likelihood of them getting it by 40%, give or take.
That's
so
right.
To me, that seems like the only thing that, that you can really do legitimately, to kind of curb it, because if you make the tanking something that doesn't even give you that much of an advantage, then I don't think a lot of teams are going to bother trying to tank.
I agree with that. Steve, you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I like the idea. I mean, we've been talking about tanking. The league is frowning on it. They have to figure out a way how to make it more fair, or so for the teams. Listen, you want to win 9 games in a year, fine. But now, to Jay's point, you're not going to get 10 balls. You're going to get 6. And so if you fall down to number 7, then too bad. I kind of like the direction that they're taking here, because they have to do something. They just can't keep letting it go the way it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, D Jones, I'm gonna jump back into the stories I have, but I want to skip ahead and jump into the NBA playoffs, because the NBA playoffs are very, very interesting right now. Because obviously your team Detroit is on the brink. Look, before I even talk about everybody right now, let's just focus on this series real quick. Orlando versus Detroit. D Jones, tell me what your thoughts are, because I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this. I think Orlando is a horrible matchup for Detroit, because Detroit and Orlando both don't have great shooting. But when it comes to size and it comes to per position and everything else, I think this is probably one of the worst matchups probably in the last 5 or 7 years in the NBA playoffs, because of the way they match up. But talk to me, what's your take on Detroit versus Orlando? Especially since now Detroit's at 3-1. They down 3-1, 3 games to 1.
I honestly feel like there's more important things in the world to talk about. Clay just cheated on Megan Thee Stallion, okay, and that's sports related, and we really should cover that.
I'll get to that.
All propaganda and lies, okay. This is Republicans and MAGA, okay. What this is.
Invite.
But to answer your question, one, we getting out coached, and it shows. They not spacing the ball. JB not adjusting. They going at Duncan Robinson. You keeping Duncan Robinson in the game. Like, what is you doing? Jalen Duren is really underperforming. You're supposed to be an all-star. You're supposed to have took this leap. He hasn't showed up at all. He's playing against his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend, and he's killing them. He got dunked on so hard last night that we had an earthquake in Detroit. Okay, the whole city felt it.
That was
our
filthy.
leader. He's out there like he's tired, and his weakness is turnovers. He was the biggest turnover machine last season. This season, he kind of calmed it down, but you can see in this series, when they crowd the floor, ain't nowhere to go. We can't shoot the ball. We don't have shooters. And we got some dogs on the bench. B-Ball, Paul, and Ron Hollins has not played in 2 games. When they did play, we actually won. So I don't know what JB Bickerstaff is doing. I think he's getting out coached. I think they keep leaving Desmond Bane over. Just somebody stay on him at all times, because Orlando's not shooting the ball good either.
Right.
These games have been terrible, and we've been in them. We might get down 20 and come right back. But at the end of the day, we can't shoot the ball. We can't get to the rack. Our big man playing like he's supposed to be in the WNBA, and Cade can't do it himself. He just came off a lung injury. He looked tired.
Yeah.
So, but really, I don't think we need to talk about this any further.
Okay. Jay, talk to me about this matchup problem.
So let's go to the next question, Jay.
Yeah, Jay, let's go talk about this matchup problem that Orlando is having. I mean, that Detroit is having with Orlando. Talk to me about what you see, because I want to jump in and say what I see. Tell me what you see, Jay.
So Frank, what have I been telling y'all from the start of this series?
You said styles make fights. You mean that type?
Styles make fights.
Mm-hmm.
And I also said that I feel bad for Detroit because this is a bad matchup for them.
Yep, you sure did.
I said it from the start. No, Jay, I'm telling you, we got they, bro. I'm telling you, listen, I don't know much about other sports, but I know basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see what Orlando's personnel looks like versus what Detroit's personnel looks like and how they got to get their scoring, it is not close. And I was saying, to me, Orlando is like a 2 to a 4 seed that underachieved in the regular season. And they're sitting at the 8 seed at a time, where they just got healthy and they're ready to play now. They kind of figured it out a little bit. And it's just bad for Detroit. It's just bad luck. Because they shouldn't have had this team or a team of this caliber in the first round.
Right.
They should have had somebody like Toronto or take your pick, Philadelphia, somebody like that in the first round. But this Orlando Magic team is uber talented. They are super big and they are skilled across the board. This is a really, really bad matchup for them.
Well, the reason why it happens is because the Celtics beat Orlando in that last game when Orlando thought they were going to win. And because of that, Orlando lost. That's how that landed the way it landed, with New York playing Atlanta and Orlando playing Detroit. So that's how that whole thing landed. I'm gonna just jump out here and real fast. Actually, I'll let Steve. Steve, you want to jump in on this before I put my comments?
The only thing I can say, Frank, is the same thing I've been saying about Orlando is they're a bad matchup for the Celtics. And I know it's a couple of years ago and this year is different, but to Jay's point, they get healthy and they're clicking at the right time, and that worries me a little bit if they face the Celtics at any point. And there's always a dark horse. I had Charlotte as a goof earlier, but these guys could legit be a threat in the next round.
And a couple of years ago, I would agree with you, Orlando would, but the Celtics got a whole different role of personnel, so they don't match up with them. Now it's a different thing. I just want to throw in and say,
sound like Howie. You sound like Howie and D Jones 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're a bad matchup for you right now, Frank. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
them boys are 6'10" across their front line, and they're versatile. They all can shoot. They all can handle. They're going to be a problem for you.
They cannot shoot. They cannot shoot better than the Celtics right now. They cannot. And I'm not even entertaining that.
If yours go in, yeah, but y'all have a lot of games, y'all put up 53s and make 6.
Yeah, but we don't.
Y'all have games like that.
Yeah, once every 15 games. Yeah, we do. Statistically,
and they guard hard too.
The problem is we won't see it because Orlando, if Orlando advances, they're going to advance versus the Cleveland series too. So they won't even get past that series. So we won't see it. So
that's going to be light work for them, man, because Detroit is better than any of those, Cleveland or Toronto.
Except they're not. So we won't see it. But anyway, let's move on to the next series. The next series I want to talk about, D. Jones, is Denver is trying to make a comeback against Minnesota. Now, here's the situation with Denver and Minnesota. Denver has been getting, up until last night, Denver was getting outplayed. Denver now made a little bit of a coming back. Where are your thoughts at with this Denver-Minnesota series? Because Denver obviously said, they weren't trying to go home last night, D. Jones, and they didn't tie the series yet, but it's 3-2. Where are you at with this?
Without Anthony Edwards, Denver's going to win. It's a wrap. I think I watched that. They was up 20 damn near the whole game. I can't see Minnesota advancing against Joker. Still had 27. He had 18 points and they was up 20 to start the fourth quarter. They don't have no answer for Jamal. I don't think Minnesota can win without their best player. Like who?
But
Randolph.
You got to know this. Aaron Gordon is injured. Now, if Aaron Gordon was playing, I would be like, yes, they could definitely come back because they did it before. They came twice in one playoff run. They came back from 3-3 the games to 1, and they did it. They showed they could do it. But they did that with Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. They had their big three. They don't have.
I don't think they can do it without Anthony Edwards. I can't see it happening.
No, I'm talking about Denver. Denver didn't have Aaron
Yeah,
Gordon.
but I'm saying I don't see Minnesota winning without Anthony Edwards. Denver's going to advance.
Oh, okay, all right. So that's your take. It's very interesting that you think
Pistons in 8.
Yeah, okay, let me see what Jay. What's your take on this? Where you at with this?
Hey, Minnesota only got to win one game,
Mhm.
and it's over with. And and they going back home. They played without Ant a lot over the past like 2 months because Ant's been dinged all season long.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like this is new territory for them. They got legitimate people, like legitimate bigs who can play. Denver was down 3-1. They went back home. They played desperate the way a desperate team should play.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, the officials always get involved in situations like this too. You know what I'm saying? Like that game was not officiated in the same kind of way the other games were officiated. And for them to go home and have no Ant Edwards or any of that, and you still win by like 12. I don't know, man. I mean, to me, I don't think that bodes well unless Adam Silver making a phone call to make sure that they call this game like in a slanted kind of way. I think Minnesota closed them boys out the next game.
That's possible, but I have to say, Steve, the way the playoffs have been going, sometimes they call every game tight. Last night, Denver versus Minnesota was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen in my life because they weren't calling calls 1 minute and then they were calling all the calls the next minute.
Right.
I was like, "What the hell's going on?" I didn't even
involve, man.
Yeah, I honestly, sometimes I watch the NBA and I get so disgusted because I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know I don't get it, but I do know gambling got a lot to do with it. But anyway.
Because Joker had 27,
yeah.
Julius Randle had 27 too.
Yeah, Steve, what's your 2 cents on this?
So Minnesota lost Anthony Edwards. Didn't they also lose another guy to an Achilles tear?
Yeah, DiVincenzo.
Yeah, DiVincenzo.
So that's 2 guys. I mean, they're depleted. And I heard you say earlier that they play a lot of games without Anthony Edwards, but it's very difficult to maintain any cohesiveness and try to win without your top players. And I'm not saying they can't do it, but if Denver's healthy and you got Joker, he's tough to beat, man. I would not bet against him going forward. So my take is that, it's an uphill climb for Minnesota. If they do it, then good for them.
All right, let's move on to the next series I want to talk about real fast because this series is wrapped up already, man. OKC swept them boys in Phoenix. They did it so fast, and they really didn't sweat, D Jones. They really didn't bust a sweat, to be honest with you. I
don't think they even stretched before them games, man.
Yeah, that's true. It was an interesting NBA playoff series. What's your take on OKC defeating and sweeping Phoenix, D Jones?
Man, Devin Booker had 2 points in the first half. Okay, I think he might be out of his prime and now a little bit overrated. Jalen Green. He's not reliable. Dylan Brooks, I like Dylan Brooks, but he can't be your third option. OKC, man, they chilling, man. We knew it was gonna be a sweep out of all of the series. This was gonna be a sweep. They gearing up, man. Who they play the winner of LA and
Houston
next. So they getting ready and rested to go on another sweep.
I don't know if it's gonna be an easy sweep like that, but I what you're saying. Jay, talk to me about OKC, how they handled Phoenix. What'd you see with your eyes?
That was a hard game to watch, bro. To be honest, because you just knew Phoenix really didn't have a chance, but their fans would get excited and try to will them through it, but they just didn't have the horses and to get over the finish line. But D Jones, Dylan Brooks is the third option, bro. I mean, he's not a 1 or a 2 at all.
That's what I'm saying. You can't win if he's the third.
Gotta be like no. I mean, he's at best your third option. And Devin Booker finished, with 24, 8 of 16 shooting. But see, the problem with Phoenix is because, like you said, Jalen Green is so inconsistent, and then you got Dylan Brooks, who is doing more than he should be doing, because they can key on Devin Booker. Like, they make him work so hard for his points because they ain't got to really worry about nobody else, man. So until they bring in like another legitimate scorer, preferably a big who can score, man, it's gonna be tough sledding for Phoenix. But I'll say this: I think that they arrived a year ahead of schedule, though, because I had them missing the playoffs based on the offseason.
I will say this, Jay. I think Phoenix's biggest problem is they have two players who play so identical with Jalen and Devin Brooks. They like Jalen Green and Devin Brooks play so identical. I think that throws a lot of the chemistry off of what you could build. You need somewhat of some players to play a different style. If they know how they're going to attack you, then they know what to do with you. I think this. I don't know, Jay. I don't know.
But Frank, you know, I mean, like this, you know, what you're saying, I give credence to that. Dylan Brooks
meant Devin Booker. I think he meant Devin Booker.
No, Dylan Brooks went 10 of 19.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Devin Booker went 8 of 16. That means that Dylan Brooks took 3 more shots than Devin Booker.
Mm-hmm.
That cannot happen because Dylan Brooks is not their best player.
Right.
And Dylan Brooks, with 3 more shots, had 1 less point than Devin Booker. You know what I'm saying? So they got to establish the pecking order. They got to get a coach in there who can establish, like, number 1 over there, the other light-skinned dude. He's everything goes through that guy. And Dylan Brooks, you got to learn, man, like, you're a third option at best, man. Stop shooting like you're number 1.
Yeah, and stop ball hogging. He stopped being a hun. But that's
I like the Duke player, and I hate Duke players. Grayson Allen can ball.
Yeah, and
now here's the other thing. Jalen Green took 25 shots.
Yeah, he did.
He was 10 of 25, and he still had less points than Devin Booker.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me see what Steve's thought. Steve, did you pay attention to this series?
Not really. There's really not much to pay attention to when the champs are going to steamroll team.
Very true.
This is like a like these guys said, they were barely breaking a sweat. They're the champs, and they don't want to have. They want to dispose quickly of what I'll call gnats. You know, it's like a gnat to them. They don't want to mess around and have a 6-game series against these guys. So, listen, they're going to play their best ball. Now they're the champs, and until somebody else says otherwise, I don't think it was a real test for them. And I really don't have much to add.
Okay, so
one thing OKC doesn't do that a lot of teams do, they don't play with their food, bro.
No, they don't. Yeah,
they clean the plate and get it in the sink.
Now let's talk about the games that are happening tonight, man. We got to talk about the Celtics are playing the Sixers in Boston tonight. The Hawks are playing the Knicks tonight, and the Blazers are playing the Spurs. First up, let's talk about the Celtics versus Philly. D. Jones, what's your take on this, bro? Celtics up 3-1.
I hate the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
I just seen a highlight of Peyton Pritchard. I was like, why that white boy ain't on our team?
You need a shooter.
We need y'all got too many shooters, bro. And I don't like it. Y'all hoarding shooters over there. I pray that you guys lose, but I don't see y'all losing. But I pray to the bottom of my heart that y'all lose. I think, what is the series? 2-1, 3-1?
3-1.
Yeah, it's over with tonight. Where y'all playing at?
Boston.
Yeah, it's over. It's gonna be a lot of beer drinking and a lot of slurs saying in them stands, and this game will be over.
The only problem, D. Jones, is the Celtics don't play the greatest at home. They just don't, you know, especially this season. You know what I mean? They're not the greatest.
And I think Joel's going to give it a shot tonight.
Yeah, he will. He definitely will. They're going to play different. The Sixers
But I still got y'all winning, man. I still got y'all winning by 7.
Okay, by 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Jay, do you think the Sixers are going to change their playing style tonight? Because the last game, let's be honest, Joel Embiid made them worse than he made them better. You know what I mean? He made them worse. What do you think the Sixers in the Celtics game will look like tonight? I
mean, I think that Embiid will be better because, you know, like he's had that one game to kind of run and get in there, you know, so the body, you know, once it gets used to it, he'll be a little better. But also I think they're going to figure out how they need to play around him. But the one thing that's giving me pause, man, you know, about saying outright that Boston gonna close them out tonight, Boston's favored by like 10.5. And when those lines are out of whack like that, you know what happens, white chocolate. You know what happens. The WWE gets involved. The WWE gets involved because everybody taking the line. And not only do they not cover, they end up losing the game outright. So all that money, casinos cleaning up. So I mean, that's the one thing that gives me pause with that. But Philly's backcourt played really, really poorly that previous game, and Boston shot out of their mind. I mean, they ain't always gonna shoot the ball like that. But I'm gonna say Boston should pull it off because they're at home. But that line gives me pause, bro.
Steve, what's your take?
I agree with Jay when the line is like that, and I called it against San Antonio. That I think they'll win, but they won't cover. And D. Jones, thank you. You gave me two reasons for this for today. One, the Celtics are going to win, but two, my Bruins are pissing me off. So I have plenty of reasons for that, and that's a separate argument. But listen, this is how it goes, Frank. They are a little bit. They have a tougher time at home for some unexplained reason, and hopefully this won't be one of those nights where they're 13 for 50 from three. Because it's typically how it works. They have one game where they shoot the lights out, and then the next game they don't go in, and that worries me a little bit. But I still think they're going to pull it off, even if it's by 1 or 3 or a small margin. I don't see them losing.
It's hard to watch y'all when y'all missing threes because y'all shoot so many threes.
You're telling me?
It's so hard to watch.
You're telling me?
Y'all got
irritating
beasts that can get to the rack at any time.
You know who was hard to watch last night was Jalen Suggs.
Yes.
Dude, he was 0 for 8 from 3. And they hit him in the corner, and he rose up immediately without hesitation. And he went 1 for 9, and then he's clanked everyone after that. He was still shooting with confidence. I was like, if I had that confidence in the nightclub, bro, I'd be married to Vanessa Williams.
You better whisper that, bro. You be sleeping on the couch.
You know what I'm saying? Dude, imagine the level of confidence you got to have to be 0 for 8 and you pour that thing without hesitation time and time and time again.
That's a whole Celtics team.
I was just going to say, the Celtics do the same thing. Peyton Pritchard can be 0 for 8, and Derek White can be 2 for 12, and Joe Mazzulla just keeps letting them fire him off. It's very frustrating.
Crazy, bro.
Let me ask you this, D. Jones, because the question lingers now. Does Joel Embiid's return help or hurt the Sixers? And will Joel Embiid still be maintained to be with the Sixers? Because now, D. Jones, questions are popping up whether or not he should even be on the Sixers moving forward.
Well, this thing with Joel, he capable of putting up 45 on you
50
any given night. Like,
right.
If he feeling it, there's nothing you can do. The other thing is, are they gonna keep him? Who's gonna trade for him? Who's gonna take that on? Somebody who can't play no more. He gonna end his career like Patrick Ewing with the Sonics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he's definitely untradeable right now, Jay. I think he's untradeable. I don't think you can get much for him. Maybe a draft pick, maybe a second round or third round draft pick. But the thing that hurts the Sixers trying to move him is his salary. Like he's making way too much money. So, I hear people talking about this all the time, but I wanted to ask you guys what you thought. But, first of all, Jay, does Joel Embiid's return help or hurt the Sixers? And do you think moving forward that the Sixers will eventually continue to keep him? Because their backcourt needs help. Maxey and VJ are phenomenal. They need to build with them. You know what I mean?
I'm going to say that depends on which Joel Embiid they get.
But you never know. You don't know. That's the problem.
If they get a dude, man, who's healthy enough to be out there, to move, to have his body respond, to his physical capability. To his skill set, then he helps them a lot. I mean, he's an unguardable dude, when he's healthy and out there able to move. But he's coming off of injury. He had a surgery. And it was also like a core thing. And people don't understand how important your core is in basketball.
Right.
Like everything in basketball is correlated. And so for him, to kind of be back, maybe he could have helped them more if he could have gotten back 2 weeks from now. He could have built himself back up, and have more stamina. But I think he can help him tonight, man, because just getting that first game helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that take. Only to a certain extent, coming back and him playing better, Steve, helps the Sixers to a certain extent, but he is slowing them down. You know what I mean? He's not playing fast ball, like and the Sixers, when they beat the Celtics that one game, they were playing lights out with speed. You know what I mean? And that's what they are not playing towards their strength with. Anyway, what you think, Steve?
I agree with what you just said, because the two guards didn't get, they're being diminished by him being in the lineup. They're only getting like 9 shots a game or whatever. That's not conducive to their success. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's good to have him back when you need some low post. He's a good player when he's healthy. And for him to play 32 minutes and get 26 points the other night is good for them.
That's incredible.
But the rest of the team suffered because they're not doing the run and gun thing, and the guards are not carrying Edgecombe and what's the other guy's name? Maxey. Like, those guys have to be really good, and Embiid doesn't have to carry the load. That's what they need to adjust. So they need to switch it up and have those guys be more of the focal point. That's the most. That's their recipe for success, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So,
all right.
That's all.
But for all the beating up that people do on Embiid, the person who I think either helps or hurts them the most is Paul George. Because, when Paul George plays the way Paul George is supposed to play, they win games. And they win games easily. But when he's out there, doing that nonsense, missing shots and missing bunnies and not defending, he hurts them more than any other player on that team.
Honestly, I think the addition of Paul George to the Sixers was something they shouldn't have done, but that's a conversation for another day. Let's talk about the Knicks series with the Hawks, man. D Jones, they're playing tonight. So first, listen, there's a lot to talk about with the Knicks versus the Hawks because the series is tied 2-2. Going in tonight, how do you think each team should attack the other, D Jones, and what's your take on the outcome?
Oh, if I'm Atlanta, I'm going at Brunson every time on the floor. I'm making you play defense. You about to get tired of me. If I'm switching, whoever he switch on, give him the ball. I'm going at Brunson from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. If I'm New York, you got to get Cat involved. You got to give him the ball down low and make sure he stay. Because it seemed like when they stopped giving the ball, he check out. You know what I'm saying? And the other day, Brunson daddy told him, hey, man, pass the ball. You can't dribble, shoot, and go down there and flop and expect to win because you're not getting nobody involved. Then they role players got to show up. Miles Bridges got to show up. Josh Hart got to show up. OG Anunoby. Shout out to Mo. I hope y'all lose tonight. Has to show up. And I think this is going to be the best game of the night. Knicks,
it might be.
Yeah, but it's fair to say that the winner of this game might win the series. So that's one way of definitely looking at it. Jay, you told me how New York would how would Atlanta attack them, D Jones, before I get to Jay. Should Atlanta attack this game tonight? D Jones.
I said it. They got to go at Jalen Brunson.
Okay. Jay, same thing for you. If you're looking at this series and you're the Knicks, what's your top 3 or 4 things you got to do if you're the Knicks, and what's your top 3 or 4 things? Because Game 5 is very pivotal, Jay.
Rule number 1: everything has to go through the sassy Dominican. You got to run your offense through Cat, because the one thing the Knicks have over Atlanta is that they are bigger than Atlanta is across the front line. Like Atlanta, I mean, they can be big, for certain teams because their guards are big. But nobody's like above like 6'8", 6'9". And they got Cat. They got the other dude, man. I'm forgetting his name right now. Was it Robertson?
Yeah.
Who be getting all the offensive boards?
Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah. Mitchell Robinson. Yeah. And the Knicks are kind of long. You know what I'm saying? So take advantage of your size. Pause. Yeah, pause for real. Yeah. So if you run everything through Cat, he is the one guaranteed mismatch that Atlanta just can't match up to, man, because they don't have anybody who can guard him. And Cat can go outside, pick and pop. He can screen and roll. He can go off the bounce, and they can't guard him. So everything runs through Cat first and foremost. And secondly, Bronson has to be efficient. The Knicks can't have a 27 field goal attempt where he's making 11 or 9 shots, because now he's taking shots away from other people and he's doing it inefficiently. So, and like D Jones was saying, he got to like include all his teammates. And if you take in 27 shots, that means that you're not including your teammates. That means that they're not getting shots. So you got to set them up, get them involved in what's going on. And as for Atlanta, if that guard, like D Jones said, can take advantage of smallish Brunson, can take advantage of some other dude, like CJ McCollum to take advantage of Josh Hart, then it could get interesting. But I just think it favors the Knicks because of their sheer size and ability, to get easy buckets. Pause.
And the game is in New York. Steve, what's your take?
And it is in New York.
What's your take on this?
Listen, New York is a good team. They should win this game. Atlanta, they're like lightning in a bottle, so to speak. I like the Knicks on their home court, and for all the reasons you guys just said, Cat is a scary player when he's on. If they're feeding him the ball and he gets 30 or 34 points tonight, it could be over for them. Brunson scares me because there's times where I see him and he hits a lot of clutch shots. The problem is, to what you guys are saying, his job is to distribute the ball more than taking, 27 shots. He's got to pick he's Jay nailed it. He's got to pick his spots. He can't just go up there chucking everything up and leaving everybody else in the dust. Especially, and this happens to a lot of teams now, not just the Celtics that I've been watching a little bit. What's with everybody does it, so I don't know how to explain it, but teams get the ball, they get the rebound, and they get down. It's not that they kick it out. It's a lot of times the guy gets it and just throws up a three, and nobody's underneath. And then they turn it over, and it goes the other way. And I'm seeing more and more guys do that. I don't get it. So they need to avoid that.
All right, that's a conversation that we definitely should have very, very soon. I wanted to ask you guys this other question because I'm looking at some of the stories here. I don't know if you guys got a chance to talk about the Houston Rockets yet. Did you guys talk about the Houston already?
No, it's one more game tonight too, I think.
Yeah, the Blazers and the Spurs.
Yeah, Blazers Spurs. Yeah, that's over with. Yeah,
before I get to that, I want to ask you about the Houston Rockets series. Purposely because D Jones, Houston literally is they're facing a brink of elimination with the Lakers. But I want to make sure I got this conversation in because I've been hearing it a lot, D Jones. Does Kevin Durant return to Houston if Houston loses this series?
I don't see why not. You put a point guard if
right.
Van Vliet come back, it's a different team. So I don't see why not. He won't be the ball handler. Pause. And it's a much different team with an experienced. They could have went got Dennis Schroeder or somebody, and it would have been a much better team. I don't think. But it is KD. He might want to leave tomorrow. So that's tricky, but I think he'll be there for at least one more season.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just jump ahead of you real fast, Jay. Before you answer, I'm gonna say I don't think KD's playing another game for the Rockets. I don't know why I get this feeling. I don't think he's gonna play another game. I think he's out. But that's my opinion. Jay, talk to me. Tell me why I'm wrong. Why do you think Kevin Durant is or is not going to play another game for the Houston Rockets next season? Because we all know they're going to lose to the Lakers, right? We all agree to that, right? We agree to that, right?
They should.
Yeah. So I guess the question for you, Jay, is does KD eventually play another game for the Houston Rockets?
Yeah, he's KD,
mm-hmm.
and the issue of the Houston Rockets is not a KD issue.
Mm-hmm.
The issue of the Houston Rockets is that they don't have a point guard. They don't get point guard play.
That's right.
That's been, listen, all season long, we've been saying the same thing about them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's showing up, in IMAX in the playoffs because they're playing against the greatest mind to ever play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how to exploit whatever weakness that you have. And if your weakness is you can't get into sets because you ain't got a true point guard, they're going to scheme to take away everything that you can do and make you do everything that you can't, which is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, he's hurt. Another reason why he's going to be there is because he makes a lot of money, man.
Mm-hmm.
And, you just can't say, hey, let me offload $50 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams ain't trying to do that. So he'll be there, but I think if for nothing else, they want to see what that team looks like when they got Fred VanVleet, or if they can go find, like a legitimate point guard via free agency or in the draft.
Very interesting. What's your take on this, Steve? Do you think Houston brings Kevin Durant back next season?
Well, the question is, does he want out?
No, that's not the question. The question is, does Kevin Durant play another game for the Rockets? Because they could trade him, they could keep him. The question is not, does he want out? Because we don't know. But Houston might be fed up with him because he keeps disappearing for every team he plays with.
Well, so he signed a 2-year extension, at $90 million. So he's got $45 million a year.
He ain't going nowhere.
I don't know how are they going to trade him unless Milwaukee wants to trade Giannis for him. I don't know how that would work, but I would say for right now he's playing there until he forces his way out, like a lot of the players do. When they're unhappy with where they are, they force their way out.
Okay, so let me go to the next up. Let me put D Jones right there.
Yeah, because they don't know what they got right now, Frank. I mean, I think that they want to see what they really have. With the point guard running
comes back, right?
Yeah.
D Jones, let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers and San Antonio Spurs, because Wemby came back, the whole team was different. You know what I mean? So, what's your take on this, D Jones?
We don't have to talk about him. I'm surprised they're still playing, man. I'm very surprised this wasn't sweep either. I think it's over tonight as well. Wemby just a cheat code. No, you got to play bully ball with Wemby. I think I've only seen 3 teams play Wemby good, and they still lost.
Mm-hmm.
That was Denver, that was Detroit, and that was Minnesota. They got 3 guys who can kind of push him around because he really light, and they still lost. You see what I'm saying? So the Blazers don't have the personnel to play bully ball with him, because that's the only way you can beat him. You can't go around him. You got to kind of go through him, and that's the only way I see him being beat.
Jay, how do you see the Blazers Spurs series?
I see the Blazers in Cancun this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow.
Going marlin fishing or something, because they ain't got to play basketball after the night.
Mm-hmm.
But like real quickly off the subject, I'm on ESPN, on the website right now, and so check the game times, and so it has like tickets as low as whatever. And this is the problem with New York City. For the Boston game, tickets as low as $108.
Mm-hmm.
For the San Antonio game, tickets as low as $123. New York, $341 for the cheapest ticket in the building.
It sounds about right. Mm-hmm.
And if they go to the next game in Atlanta, Atlanta's top ticket is like $90. Lowest ticket is like $90. And then if there's a game 7 in New York, the lowest ticket is $600 in New York.
Holy crap.
Bro, they're making money hand over fist. It's crazy.
Now, can you get back to
$600 for the nosebleed?
Can you get back to the subject, please?
I answered your question.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't think you did. I'm sorry, I missed you. Steve, where you at with this?
Unless the WWE script writers jump in, like they did when Wemby fell and hit his face, I think the Trailblazers are going to be playing golf.
Cancun.
In Cancun, golf, something, but they're pretty much toast, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Bahamas at Atlantis.
Now I got 5 minutes left. I want to get this last story in. I got 2 more stories I want to get in, but let me see if I get this one story in. With wide receiver George Pickens has not signed his franchise tag in the NFL. We'll talk about the NFL now, because the Dallas Cowboys made some news the last couple of days when everybody assumed, D. Jones, that George Pickens signed his franchise tag tender, and everybody assumed that. Come to find out, Adam Schefter reported as of Monday that he did not. What is your take, D. Jones?
Well, that's what they said during the draft.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
Well, it's crazy. This is the least amount of noise that Dallas has had in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's noise, it's the least amount of noise. I think they kind of want him to leave anyway. Like, I don't think they really want to extend him or give him a long-term deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would have done it already. But then again, Jerry Jones will wait to a kickoff for the new season to sign somebody.
or
but I
2
really
games,
don't
3
think
games
they
go
want.
by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He will
Emmitt
wait
Smith.
till somebody catch the first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's sign him.
Or we don't have D Jones. A wide receiver might miss a pass, they can drop the ball, but we already got George Pickens and he ain't playing. Let's sign him. Like how my man shouted out Emmitt Smith. That's exactly how
But
he's playing.
he got the same agent Michael Parsons had.
Yeah. So.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So that's something to say with that too. But they act like they really don't want him there.
Yeah, and Jay, that might be how he feel like he's being treated. Like he doesn't want to be wanted, so he might be out. You know what I mean? He might be out. He can't leave this right now, their franchise tag, but in the near future, where you at with this, Jay?
I mean, every NFL owner is trying to get players for low dough, and they don't want to extend him. Meanwhile, the player taking all the risks. And they call a lot. He catches a lot of passes over the middle. Which means his career could be over at any play. And for him, to go out there, and not at least try to push to get moved or something like that, to get a long-term secured bag situation, I think he'd be doing himself a disservice. So it feels to me like his agent may have a team or two lined up who want his services and are willing to extend him if Dallas releases him.
I'm going to jump in and say I wouldn't be surprised if it's the San Francisco 49ers with the situation they're having right now. Steve, where you at?
He can play, man.
Yeah, he can play. He can play. This boy can ball. Where you at with obviously Jerry Jones and the situation happening with Dallas?
Jerry Jones is a big idiot.
He is.
You have a talented guy. You want to keep as many talented guys as you can. He gets rid of the best pass rusher in the league. And now he's going to lose, the second best wide receiver on his team. If CeeDee Lamb goes down and you didn't sign this guy, that's when he's going to sign. Only if CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, and I'm not wishing that he gets hurt, but let's say he tears his ACL, right, after like week 3. George Pickens gets signed because they don't have anybody else, Dallas, unless they trade him beforehand. So one way or another, GM Jerry needs to go. He's a buffoon.
All right, so I'm looking at the time, and of course I just saw the kickoff, the tip-off, Celtics versus Sixers game. You guys getting underway, so we're gonna end up bouncing up out of here as we normally do. Before we leave,
Who cares?
I want to thank everybody.
I care about no Celtics.
I want to thank everybody joining the show, including all these Celtics haters. I want to thank D Jones. Everybody, how they can follow you and what's going on in your world, bro?
313 D Jones, Pistons in 9.
Yeah, okay, all right.
That's the 9th hole, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll win even if we're 9, bro.
I don't think so either. If it went 11, they definitely wouldn't either. But anyway, Jay, tell everybody how they can follow you.
Follow me at JD Hayes at Fanbase. This is for Boston.
Steve.
Follow me and Frank on Boston Straight Shooters on Facebook and YouTube.
Everybody, thank you guys for watching. The name of the show is called Box Seats. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the recap of the games that happened tonight. We got to talk about, there's a lot of stories that we didn't hit. We're going to have to try to catch up on some of these.
Megan.
We might
the Red Sox, man. What is happening?
We might talk about that. We're going to try to get all this in, especially what's going on in, obviously, in football now, too. There's a lot to talk about. Tomorrow, we'll be back on at 6 p.m. Thank you all for watching. We'll see y'all. Peace.
Hey, what you need?